NorCal Credit Union.
Good morning, area.
It's time to wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
All right. Let's see if I can do this again. Do I remember how? All right. Talking to the mic, piece of paper, Comcast business text line. I think I'm all good. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the Pregame Show. I'm your host, Joe Spadoni. Back from the happiest place on earth, Disneyland, California. Anaheim. Yeah, might as well just be called Disneyland, though. Nothing else in town. Not the Angels. I'll tell you that. Mike Trout out for the season. But thank you, John. God, I missed you, you beautiful SOB. Sam Lubman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Missed that guy. Gave me a ride this morning. Needed it. What a weekend in sports. I'm so happy to be back. There's so much that's been going on. You got the Niners. They're 3-0. Brock Purdy, Thursday Night Football, doing what he does, throwing back shoulder fades to Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel looking like a legit wide receiver one. Ayuk out, no problem. But this past weekend in sports, woo, we have some sound bites. We have some scores. We have some humble pie being served. But first and foremost, good morning to all you lovely people. Just getting off work, getting ready for school, getting ready to do whatever you got to do. Happy Victory Monday to those of you whose teams won yesterday, over the weekend, what have you. And, well, if your team didn't win, it's all right. As long as you're not a Broncos fan, in which case, if you're a Broncos fan, I'm sure you're not listening to sports talk or any sports media today. In fact, if I was a Denver Broncos fan, I'd probably just, abstain from watching or ingesting any sports-related content for, I don't know, maybe a month. That sounds like a good month. Because anytime a team drops 70 on you in an NFL game, this isn't Madden. This is an NFL game that happened yesterday in Miami. The Miami Dolphins hung 70 on the Denver Broncos. It could have been 80. Hell, Mike McDaniel thought he was being nice and didn't have bad karma for trying to go for the record and getting the field goal. Record being 73, of course. So, awful lot happening this weekend. 888-957-9570. I want to know your thoughts on that. It's an MVP Monday. Who won the weekend? The entire Miami Dolphins. The M and MVP can stand for Miami because that was a beatdown, folks. Good morning to all of you on the Comcast Business text line, 888-957-9570. That's the same number to call or text that same text line. And also hit us up on Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Good morning to all of you lovely people on the chat. Nicole Diaz, out in the MIA, of course. That was ugly. Party here after that game was epic. Nicole knows. El Guero, good morning, Spadoni. Welcome back. Raiders fans, we stink. Yeah, it's not a good time. That was an ugly game last night. Turned out interesting, but Jimmy Garoppolo, 3 picks, not going to get it done. And it only took 3 games for the head coach not to trust Jimmy Garoppolo anymore. It's got to be some kind of record. I'm impressed. It took Kyle, a season? Maybe? 6 or 7, 8 games? More than 3. Josh McDaniels electing to go for a field goal last night. What was that? What are you doing? I mean, I could ask that with every Raiders head coach the last, 2 decades since Bill Callahan's dumbest team in America comment. That's, honestly, Callahan was right. It just feels like this is the dumbest team in America for the last 20 years. Oh, consolation prize, though. You get to host the Super Bowl. That's great. You know, it's probably going to be there. It's probably going to be the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm sure that makes Mark Davis very happy. Paul Castillo, Sean Payton looking worse than Denver's coach from last year. You know what, Paul? For the amount of flack that Nathaniel Hackett got in the offseason by way of Sean Payton, again, the humble pie is being served. And now the season's not over for the Broncos, although 0-3, dead last in the AFC West. It's not looking good. Playing Russell Wilson that entire game, not a good look. That's a coach saying, you know what? You got to wear this. I'll wear it, but you got to wear it too, Russ. And I don't think that echoed well in the locker room. So 888-957-9570. What were your biggest takeaways of this sports weekend? Obviously, the Miami Dolphins are going to dominate the headlines today, and deservedly so. But something else happened on Saturday that I want to get into at some point. Oregon taking on Colorado. And it felt like, and it still feels like, maybe not as much, but the Colorado experience with Deion Sanders as their head coach, it feels like much-watched TV every week. And it still is. But Oregon was a 21-point favorite heading into this game. And Colorado, obviously missing their best player in Travis Hunter, it was going to hurt. And it did hurt. And he might be, as Deion said after the game, the best player in college football. Does it both sides. How can you argue that? It's literally like a Shohei Ohtani. College version, I get it. Lofty comparison. It's a future Hall of Famer in Shohei. But missing that guy obviously hurt. I don't think he was going to make the difference in what we saw, though, on Saturday. That was a difference in talent. Nothing more, nothing less. Scheme, sure. But that was just a talent beatdown that we saw in Oregon against Buffalo. Sorry, Colorado Buffaloes, by way of Boulder. So Colorado, if we're talking MVP Monday, we can talk LVP too, least valuable. Just the entire state of Colorado sports right now. Thank God for the Denver Nuggets. Basketball season can't come soon enough for them, although ratings will tell you they don't really care about their basketball either. Maybe that'll change now that they got a winner and the best player on the planet, Nikola Jokic. Maybe that'll change. It'll have to. Because there was a big slice of humble pie again. The dollop of whipped cream, Cool Whip, caramel, whatever you want on there. I don't care. Humble pie was being served. It could be pumpkin. Went to the Piedmont Fall Festival with the fam yesterday. Nice little family environment. They had this like little tasting area where you can judge. They had this like gluten-free stuff. I was like, I don't want that. But they had these like pumpkin bread donuts there. Oh, chef's kiss. Delicious. So that was being served. Pumpkin bread, humble pie. How about that? Good morning on the Comcast Business Text line, 209. I was down in Disneyland as well, watching the Niners while in line, and the wife was getting mad at me, but it was worth it. It's really funny you say that, 209. We went on Sunday through Wednesday, so came in like halfway through Sunday. We were listening to the game, actually, with the Rams radio network heading down because we picked it up. We were in Los Angeles getting through the grapevine right when the game started, and ballsy of Kyle Shanahan at the end there, do a little QB sneak action with Brock Purdy, and that changed the entire game. And now you're seeing it with Shanahan and Purdy, the trust factor, the level of trust that Shanahan has, and maybe it's fleeting. I'm not sure. It's still early. But it's a breath of fresh air. I mean, if any of you saw last night, didn't it feel like deja vu? That Raiders-Steelers game, that Raiders offense, it felt like deja vu. Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, let Jimmy cook. Oh, until he can't. Until he makes a mess in the kitchen. Get some shell on the omelet. That doesn't taste good. And it didn't for Raider fans last night. Isn't it refreshing to see your head coach trust a quarterback again? And don't get it twisted. The story of this season for the San Francisco 49ers, and I've been seeing it a lot. I saw it this past week when I was off. Seeing a lot on the social media feeds, the Twitters. By the way, you can follow me on, sorry, not Twitter, X. They still have that, by the way, since there's no bird. At Spadoni_Joe on X, you can follow me. At Broseph Spadoseph, if you want to see all those cute Disneyland pictures. Although I think they're deleted. Most of them were on my story. The missus has most of them. It's all right. But I kept seeing, it's like, Brock Purdy's not the reason. Brock's not the story. It's the defense. It's Christian McCaffrey. It's George Kittle. It's still everyone but Brock for some reason. Brock's the story, though. He's always going to be the story. I don't know what we're doing here. Brock Purdy's going to be the story this season, whether in a positive light or a negative. He's going to be the difference in the team winning a Super Bowl or not. Now, the MVP stuff, whatever. Fact of the matter is, the 49ers are the best team in the NFC. And I don't even think it's close right now, the way they're playing. Now, you can still have your Philadelphia Eagles if you want. I haven't been that impressed. And it's hard to replicate. It's hard to go back to back. I don't think they're going to do it. If Brock Purdy continues to play like he's playing right now, which I think is like a top 10 quarterback, feels like a top 10 quarterback, the way he is playing. And I can only go off the 3 games we have seen. And I said it in the offseason, if he plays like a top 10 quarterback, the 49ers will be in the Super Bowl. And right now, I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty freaking good. But Brock Purdy is going to be the story this year for the San Francisco 49ers. Because he was the biggest question mark heading into the season. He was why people had reservations on this team. And all he's done is show out so far. He's made mistakes here and there, sure. Looked a little shaky against the Giants early on there. But when push comes to shove, the guy's making the plays that need to be made. Pressure in his face, whatever. I'll just throw a dime to McCaffrey. I'll throw a dime to Kittle. I'll throw a dime to Ayuk, Debo. Hell, Ayuk being out felt like he was his favorite wide receiver. Well, now it's Debo. And my fantasy team thanks him. By the way, I'm going up against Big John. Not that anyone cares, but you're going to hear me talk about it. 5:12 a.m. Our 95.7 The Game Fantasy League. Big John Luke, and our producer here at 95.7 The Game, also a big Broncos fan. So I'm really, if I was to take an L this week in fantasy, because I'm going up against him head to head, I wouldn't feel so bad, because at least that's a nice consolation for him. He's also winless in the league, as am I. I lost Nick Chubb last week. Not great. Not feeling good about my prospects here. Got Algier as the backup. He got me like 6 points. It's not going to be good. Josh Jacobs at least got me double digits. But my God, it's not a good sophomore season for him coming off of his rushing leading season last year. But I'm pulling for you, John. If I take an L this week, I'm not going to be upset. Because imagine going 0-3 with your football team and fantasy, which a lot of fans are this week. It's tough. I'm pulling for all of you who are just waking up and joining us here at 888-957-9570. We keep talking about that Miami Dolphins game. Again, if you're just joining us, and if you were under a rock yesterday, Miami Dolphins put up 70 on the Denver Broncos. Oh my God. It's just funny. It really is. The amount of S-talking, crap-talking, just berating the previous regime that Sean Payton did to Nate Hackett and co. It really is kind of funny to watch what happened yesterday. And to hear the post game, I got to play it. Here's the opening presser comments. Sean Payton talking about this loss.
That was embarrassing and tough to watch. Aside from the kick return, there weren't a lot of positives to take from that game. We had our opportunities offensively early, 2 penalties, take touchdowns off the board, and I think they punted 1 time. So, any questions?
Oh, and there were questions.
I know that you said it's embarrassing, but this is kind of an historic game.
I'm aware.
Third time the team has scored 70 points, over 700.
What's the question? What's the question?
How do you feel about it being
I just finished telling you.
Historically embarrassing.
Next question.
Oh, no. That was tough to listen to and tough to watch. I'm not talking about just the game. That post-game presser. Whew.
Tough to watch.
Yeah. That's going to be a new one. We'll add that to the rotation. By the way, speaking of tough to watch, the San Francisco Giants.
Tough to watch.
Yeah, that was tough. Losing that series while the Dodgers are mic'd up and still making sick plays and saying, real quick, guys, was that Miguel Rojas? Real quick, I got to make this play to Carl Ravitch and go on ESPN. That was sick. Dodgers just doing what they do, owning the Giants. Giants, are they mathematically eliminated yet? What's the magic number dwindling down to? The opposite, the tragic number, Sam. Do we know? Oh, pot yourself up. Sorry about that. Thank you, Sammy. Sam giving me a ride this morning. I appreciate it.
I want to know who's turning these mics off here in the studio. Shout out Lucas. The number is greater than 0, which is higher than it should be. They're dead. Anyone who thinks the Giants have a shot at the playoffs, I want what you're smoking.
Man. And that's Sam Lubman, Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys. Him and Joe Shasky. I'm sure they'll have a new episode today, Sam. This week?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. There you go. New. Find that wherever you find your podcasts. Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys. Not quite throwing the dirt on the coffin on the Giants season, but they're getting there. They're getting their eulogies ready.
We're shopping for the dirt.
There you go. Are you a Googleizer? You find one of those? Shout out Zoolander.
Oh, no, we're going on Bing for this dirt. Giants don't get Google dirt.
Oh, man. There you go. Speaking of which, speaking of dirt and throwing on them, kind of what the Oregon Ducks did against the Colorado Buffaloes. I was going to say dirt. I mean, the season, they're 3-1. The season's not over for them. They were never going to win the Natty. Although the hype was getting there, and the hype is still there with Neon Dion. He's fun. I get it. But again, the humble pie, which is the theme of today's show, was served. And it started in the pregame speech from head coach Dan Lanning of the Oregon Ducks. Take a listen.
Today, we talk with our pads. You talk with your helmet, right? Every moment. The Cinderella story is over, man. Right? They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins. There's a difference, right? There's a difference, right? This game ain't going to be played in Hollywood, it's going to be played on the grass, right? It's going to be played on the grass. Let's go.
I don't know about you, that fired me up. I thought that was pretty sick. One more time.
Today, we talk with our pads. You talk with your helmet. Right? Every moment. The Cinderella story is over, man. Right? They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins.
There you go. Speaking of Cinderella, Benny met her. I met her too. Disneyland. Again, it all comes full circle. Kind of an overrated princess. We're just being honest. Most happy to see Princess Anna, Mulan, and who else did he see there? Moana, I think. Shout out. But not fighting for clicks. I thought it was just a genius line. Now, it's ironic because he was getting a lot of clicks from that speech. He knew a camera was on him. He knew what he was doing. But you know what? It motivated the team. That's all that matters. The team went out there and kicked ass. Won 42-6. So I'm kind of confused by all the backlash those comments received when they were floating around. I get it. People are upset because Dion had to lose and Dion was fun. We're all on the Dion board. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay that Dion lost, and it's okay that Dan Lanning had that speech. Two things can be equally true. Shout out Ralph Albieri, RIP. It could be a good pregame speech. It can get you fired up. Right? That's fine. I'm all aboard that. And it's okay to say that Dion responded in a great way. And he took it on the chin. Here's Dion responding after the game.
I don't say stuff just to say it for a click, contrary to what some may say. But, I keep receipts. But I'm serious. I analyze and I understand what we're up against and what we have and what we need. One thing that I can say honestly and candidly, you better get me right now. This is the worst we're going to be. You better get me right now. I got messengers. God bless him, though, man. He's a great coach. He did a great job. God bless him.
God bless him. There you go. See, that's all you got to say. God bless him. Thought he handled that perfectly. He's like, I'm not just saying it to say it. Like a little bit, probably. You know you're going to get headlines. He's Deion Sanders. People are going to go with it. He's been like that ever since he was a player. We get all that. I just thought the outrage from Dan Lanning's comments, and then people take it too far both ways. It's like, oh, this guy's a clown. He wishes he can get all the notoriety that Dion got. He was just jealous. I don't think so. Just motivating his team. He's trying to get in a sport where it actually matters for your team to, kind of go out there and have blowouts for the resume building. I'm sure Oregon's hoping that Colorado's good the rest of the season. So it just boosts their win against them even more. Because it matters in college. These kind of blowout wins. So motivating him, even if they were a 21-point favorite. Head coach doesn't care about that. He doesn't want his players buying into the hype, which could happen with a star like Dion at head coach, with his son being a future star, current star. Obviously, Travis Hunter being out hurt. But I thought that whole backlash and obviously saying like, I thought, who was it? Someone, it was just on social, Dan Lanning and Oregon Ducks doing that for America because America needed that. Deion Sanders needed to be humbled. Stop. That was weak. Comments like that are weak. Yes, Colorado was humbled this week. Doesn't make the team any less fun. What Deion is doing is awesome. He is empowering African-American coaches. He is empowering a lot of his African-American players, a lot of them from HBCUs that transferred over. He's creating a movement. And I appreciate it. And it's fun to watch. Can't it just be fun? All I'm saying, why do we got to go to extremes? Is that Billy Joel? All right, unironically. Why do we got to go to extremes?
It's a shame. It's embarrassing.
Thank you, Boach. By the way, Texas Rangers, they're balling. Well, they got a 2.5 game lead now. Let's go, Boach. I'm pulling for you. I don't know if a lot of Giants fans are, but I'm pulling for you. Huge. Did they sweep the Mariners? I know the Astros got swept against the Kansas City Royals. Oof. AL West. It's going right down to the wire. Last week of the season. Yeah, Astros down 2.5 back. Mariners 3 back. A's 39.5 back. They're eliminated. Of course. I think they split the series against Detroit. I think they'll get to 50 wins, though. And you know what? If they do, that'll be cause to celebrate. Nah, they didn't win. They don't get the treatment. Pot it down. Got the split. We'll keep it there. 888-957-9570. Who won the weekend? It's an MVP Monday. Spadoni is back from Disneyland. Yes, it is the happiest place on earth. It was nice. A lot of walking. I'll say this. A lot of walking. And I'm just going to say it. And maybe this is a hot take. Maybe I'm going to get in trouble for this. I'm just going to say it. Too many of the motorized handicap carts there. These things are dangerous. There needs to be a limit. Too many. Put some blinkers on those things. Put some emergency brakes on. I don't know what you got to do. Someone's going to get seriously hurt. Half the people don't need them. They're just lazy. And the other half that do need them, the seniors, the ones with actual disabilities, you're going to run them over. You're going to run these little kids over. So what's happening at Disneyland half the time? I was having to dart out of the way like it was the Fast and the Furious. Well, Grandma Gertrude is going 80 miles an hour at California Adventure. I'm trying to get my margarita. What are we doing here? So that was just my little guru's gripe, if you will, my little take on that. My Spadoni scowl. I don't know. We'll workshop it. Wasn't the best. Good to see Joe Shasky's face back there. He's fired up. I think, and we'll have the cross over here in about 20 minutes, I'm willing to wager that loss by the Denver Broncos yesterday is top 5 Joe Shasky moments of like not being your own team, being a part of it. But like you have those wins or those teams that you just hate outside of your own fandom. Like I always used, for some reason, I don't know why, I just couldn't stand the Tebow Florida Gators when I was younger in high school. I just could not stand them. And when Alabama destroyed them in the SEC championship game and he had the Tebow tears, I'll admit, as a high schooler, I loved every second of it. I felt like Cartman wanting to taste Scott Tenorman's tears. That was me. Oh no, the tears of unfathomable sadness. Oh, so yummy in my tummy. That's how I felt. I imagine that was what Joe Shasky felt yesterday. Don't want to put words in his mouth. Don't want to do that. Shout out M-Dub.
Oh, the tears of unfathomable sadness.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. So yummy in my tummy. It's one of the all-time episodes, by the way. All time.
Have it out, Cap. Go ahead, Cap. Oh, let me taste your tears, Scott.
Thank you. Cartman, all-time character. He's in my Mount Rushmore, I think, of sitcom characters. And yes, South Park is a sitcom. But we'll have Joe Shasky here in about, 20 minutes. He'll give me all his thoughts. But I want all of your thoughts here on the pregame show at 888-957-9570. Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Comcast Business Text Line. Same number to call and text, 888-957-9570. Who won the weekend? Did you win the weekend? What did you do this past weekend? Were you at Disneyland? Did you do something fun, incredible? I want to hear from it. It's a feel-good Monday here. The Niners are 3-0, and we're not talking about the Giants. We got the Warriors coming up here in about, 3 to 4 weeks. We got, Media Day next week. Can't wait for that. We'll hear from the players. We'll have it all right here on 95.7 The Game. Of course, you're home for Golden State Warriors basketball. Come on back. More pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Made to Shine. Real stories from Shane Company customers.
They were all there. My grandparents, all the cousins. I was the first one in my family to graduate from college. They were so proud. After the ceremony, my mom gave me a necklace with my...
Now, back to the pregame show on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. The triumphant return of the pregame show. Joe Spadoni here on 95.7 The Game. I'm breaking it all down. Back from the happiest place on earth. Joe Shasky will join me next segment for the crossover. Says I'm glowing. Just happy to be talking sports again. But it was nice to, kind of detox, if you will. Didn't really pay attention to any games. I was on social a little bit, but it's nice. I think you need that little mental retool, if you will. I urge everyone, if you got time for yourself, for your family, take it. You deserve it. And those of you just getting off work, getting ready for work, getting ready for school, getting ready for the grind, I appreciate you joining us. The number 888-957-9570. That's to call or text the Comcast Business Text line, which is always open. And you can find us on Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Good morning to Nicole, Mick, Paul, Raleigh, Sideshow Bob. Over under 4,000 on the trip. Huh. We'll get into that. Let's just say shout out Papa and Grammy for helping out. They're crushing it. We walked like 8 miles a day, it feels like. You don't realize how much you're walking at those places until you get back to your hotel or whatever. And you hit the scale after and you're like, man, I ate terribly the whole time. It was so bad. I was like, but then you hit the scale, I was like, I lost a pound? Yeah, because you're walking constantly. Although, unless you're on those motorized carts. Just a racket. Now, I'm not saying for the people that actually need it, that have the disabilities, that are old. I get it. That's the 5 to 10% of you. It's not directed at you. It's the lazy ones, and it's the ones that shouldn't have driver's licenses that are riding those things. You're going to get someone hurt. It's my PSA. It's my Disneyland PSA. It's my message to all of you. All right? Just be safe out there. And stop honking your little horn. I don't have to move out of the way for you on downtown Disney. All right, Gertrude? Don't need to do that. Ethel. Walter. Whatever old name you can think of. There you go. Paul Castillo. Bonte Kruger. Kipe. Everyone having historical rants on crushing the Giants. End this season already. Well, we're getting there. What, one more week now? Almost there. Again, the coffin has been buried. The dirt hasn't been thrown on yet. We'll get the Miracle Grow from Home Depot later on. Lowe's, what have you. El Guero, stick a fork in them. Morali, good morning to you. I did have a great holiday. I appreciate you. Morali hooking up with the likes, by the way, on social. Always a go-to. Him, Ernie Chavez. When in doubt, when the true homies aren't hitting the likes, you know those two will be. 888-957-9570. Speaking of hitting the likes and garnering a lot of attention this weekend, and specifically yesterday, the Taylor Swift stuff. Yeah, so if you didn't hear, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, it's been this, are they dating? Are they not? Are they seeing each other? If you're a Swiftie, I'm sure you're all over it. If you listen to the Kelce Bros podcast, I'm sure you've been all over it. His brother Jason, center for the Philadelphia Eagles, pretty much confirmed it. But Taylor Swift, T-Swift, those of you in the know, she was at the game yesterday at Arrowhead where the Chiefs just dismantled the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields. Don't know how that relationship's going to last long there. That's just another dumpster fire. A few dumpster fires in the NFL right now, that being one of them, the Denver Broncos. Those are probably the two biggest. Chicago and Denver, both 0-3. No wins. Not looking good. No hope, really, either. But yeah, Taylor Swift, I'm seeing on my screen right now. She was at the game with Mama Kelce. She's saying the LFG, let's go, and the touchdowns. Just dominating every single screen in my household yesterday. Doing numbers. So if you think that's the last time you're going to hear from T Swift on NFL Network, on ESPN, on Fox, on 95.7 The Game, yeah, get used to it. because she's dominating everywhere, whether you like it or not. She's doing numbers, and that's all that we care about. Numbers. It is out of control, Morali. I agree. But they're just going to lean into it. She's got a massive following. Some like her music. She makes buku dollars. And that's what sells. And you know what? I can't fault the NFL for, doing it 24/7. It's almost Tebow-esque. Going back to Tim Tebow, because all things come back to Tebow, as you know. Oh, God, it's on the front page of papers now. Okay, now that's a little... All right, let's relax. Put the players there on the local papers, not T-Swift. Put Mahomes, put Kelsey. You can have a little sub-excerpt on the bottom corner, but not the front cover. Stop. Good to be back, Legendary Great. Appreciate you chiming in. Appreciate all of you on the Comcast Business text line. 510. I was there 3 days. I went on 5 rides, Spadoni. The lines were ridiculous at Disneyland. They have this thing called the Genie Pass where you can it's the old Fast Pass basically. So back in the day, hell, not even back in the day, like 10, 15 years ago, I feel like you could just get every single Fast Pass. They used to have these things above, hey, come back at 1:10, get this little pass now, come back a year, skip the line, that's great. You used to be able to do that. But not anymore, because people started stacking them and hoarding them, and they got too many people in this world, population, whatever. Can't do it anymore. So now you have to buy this thing called the Genie Pass to now basically buy a Fast Pass to skip stuff. Otherwise, you're waiting on some of these rides, like the Spider-Man experience, the Millennium Falcon run, Guardians of the Galaxy. You're waiting like 2 hours. So yeah, it is worth it to get that pass if there's certain rides you want to go on, like the Haunted Mansion. And we went during Christmas time. It's like this whole Halloween time, I should say, which starts from September 1st all the way through up to October 31st. So Haunted Mansion is all decked out, Nightmare Before Christmas style. It's like the longest. It's like 2 hours every single time. So if you really want to go on that, get the Genie Pass. It's worth it. But to your point, 510, you got to get lucky. We got lucky a couple times with like the Peter Pan ride. Like I went a lot of the small ones. I went on the Dumbo ride. Like I could do 20, 25 minutes. That's fine. Anything into the 40s, 45 minutes, I'm out on that. I just can't do it. Especially if you have a 4-year-old with you that just doesn't understand the concept of a line, who still understands like, wait, why can't I go in front? We just got to go in front of the Spider-Man ride and the Millennium Falcon ride. Why can't we go? It's just the way the world works, son. That's why I could never have that magic. I don't know how some adults just do adults only to Disneyland, because I would just go nuts just with the lines. I can't do it. I will say, because I'm sure all of you care about my Disneyland trip, the best drink I had there, an apple not poison, but it was a poison apple freeze. Shout out Snow White. It was very delicious. It was like this slushy frozen and got this like boysenberry syrup on the bottom. Very delicious. I digress. We're up against it here. We got one more segment. We'll talk more sports, more Disneyland, more Sean Payton humble pie, more Deion Sanders humble pie, all of that. Brock Purdy, Taylor Swift. It's a mashup Monday here on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni on 95.7 The Game.
MVP's bonus days are back at Lowe's. Shop the largest selection of Klein tools and get 5 times the bonus points. Plus, right now...
is the place to be. The pregame show, Joe Spadoni. 95.7 The Game. Triumphant return back from Disneyland. And we got Taylor Swift, Neon Deion Sanders, Sean Payton, Brock Purdy, Travis Kelce,
Mookie Betts,
Miguel Rojas, just saying, I got to make a play real quick.
Loved
as
it.
he's mic'd up.
Loved it.
I was sick.
Reminded me of myself.
Oh, God. Relax.
I'm totally teasing.
Mic'd up. Are you mic'd for sound when you play your games? Softball?
I talked the whole game.
Oh, my God.
I mean, are you surprised?
No, you need to go on Periscope. Just have like one of those selfie sticks that's like mounted on you.
I'm one of those guys
GoPro.
As I'm rounding second base, I'm literally telling the center fielder, I dare you to throw it.
Oh, my God.
I love playing games like that.
Well,
that's the way we grew up playing.
Little mind games?
Well, make a play. That's what we call it. Make a play. Running the base is my favorite thing. But what a football weekend, huh?
What is weekend in sports, specifically football?
Except for Colorado. The state of Colorado had a rough one.
Tough. Rockies couldn't even get it done yesterday. They're I think they have 100 losses now. It's not good. It's not good.
So did the Giants in September.
But you know what? There you go. They got the Denver Nuggets coming in a couple weeks, defending champs, right? Let's get after it.
Well, did you hear what's happening with them?
What?
Their local regional sports network has gone under, and they're another team that's, the defending champs aren't going to be on local television because of the Bally's thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So similar to Major League Baseball took in the Padres broadcast and is now doing it themselves, right? They're trying to absorb it. When you watch NFL, it's all national.
Yes.
There are no regional sports networks.
Yes, because they do ratings every single game. Doesn't matter.
They sell the package nationally. I believe at some point down the line, we're talking 10 years, they're going to do that in the NBA.
Probably.
And I think Major League Baseball will try to shift that way. The problem is that there are teams like the Yankees who have their own network, and so they're financially, fiscally, whatever you want to say, tied in to having that sports regional network. It's part of their income, so they're never going to want to give that up.
Well, and Denver, speaking to the ratings part, just basketball's never registered there, and I'm curious to see even if it registers over with.
I don't know if it registers.
I just don't think I just think football dominates that particular region so hard.
Yeah.
You have the Denver Broncos; they've won championships. I don't know about Colorado. I don't know if they've ever won a natty there or anything like that. But specifically the Broncos, I guess them. The Rockies have never. They won that one World Series, that magical year. They had the 12-day layoff or whatever it was. And they got smoked. Yeah, Troy Tulowitzki, was he a rookie that year?
Oh, no,
was Cargo there yet? I don't even know.
Cargo. They had Matt Holliday sliding in, remember?
Yep, there you go.
God, what a weekend, though, right?
Dion, it started with Dion, and let me play it. For those of you just joining us, and those of you who don't know, if you were under a rock this past weekend, Oregon played Colorado. If you haven't been following along, Colorado been the biggest.
Dion's at Colorado? No, I'm just teasing.
Biggest story in sports. Like, I think it is. The Colorado Dion thing has taken on a life of its own. It was nuts.
Well, it's the second biggest story this morning.
Well, T Swift. Well, okay, relax. We'll get to that. Michelle Shasky, I know you're all over it. Jade Spadoni, girls going nuts. Significant others going nuts. The Swiftie, Sam Lubin probably going nuts over T Swift. But Colorado taking on Oregon, number 9. Oregon 21-point favorites. Travis Hunter, probably their best player. Offense, defense wasn't available for Colorado. And the pregame speech for Oregon head coach Dan Lanning was something to behold, and it sparked social media. Take a listen.
Today, we talk with our pads. You talk with your helmet, right? Every moment. The Cinderella story is over, man. Right? They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins. There's a difference, right? There's a difference, right? This game ain't going to be played in Hollywood, it's going to be played on the grass, right? It's going to be played on the grass. Let's go.
Hey. I don't care. That fired me up too, man.
But the rich irony of someone at Oregon with billions of Nike dollars supporting them, changing their uniforms on a minute by minute, literally from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, Oregon might have different uniforms on. They do it for the clicks, but no. Colorado's the one doing it for the clicks. I mean, it's a great speech.
It was a great speech.
The most hypocritical thing I have ever seen in my life.
Hey, all that matters with a speech like that, did it work or did it not work? It worked.
Well, they're the better program.
I mean, they were 21-point favorites, but Dan Lanning's, what he was probably saying was like, listen, I can't have my team buying into that. I can't have my team buying into the media hype, right? Because that could happen in college. Like, college is weird. Like, that could happen, that sort of stuff. You got to get shook real quick. But it was so obvious when it was starting to play. The talent disparity of both these teams. It's not even close.
Yeah, it's not.
And Dion responded after the game to Lanning's post. He eventually saw it, and here's what he had to say.
I don't say stuff just to say it for a click, contrary to what some may say. But, I keep receipts. But I'm serious. I analyze and I understand what we're up against and what we have and what we need. One thing that I can say honestly and candidly, you better get me right now. This is the worst we're going to be. You better get me right now. I got messengers. God bless him, though, man. He's a great coach. He did a great job. God bless him.
I've got messengers. I keep receipts, and then he keeps going. The sound bites alone from Dion are just
Is
perfection.
He wrong,
Not really, but listen, the whole clicks aspect of it. That's why it's so funny, Dion. That's what sells. That's why people are paying attention to Colorado. No, it's because of Dion, but it's because of how he talks about his program. He uplifts.
He's one of the most charismatic guys in sports history.
And that's what we love.
Totally.
Yes, and that's why I love Dan Lanning going at him like that. Why can't everything just be fun? Whole thing was
because you know why?
fun.
Because the sanctimonious college football people had to rain down holy hell in the third quarter on Deion Sanders. The irony of them destroying Deion Sanders as their sport gets turned upside down and people are transferring left and right, and the money has been more transparent now than it's ever been.
The most exciting team in college sports plays in the Pac-12, a division that's going under.
Unreal.
And it's Colorado.
Well, I would say it might be Washington. Washington looks
Penix,
ridiculous.
that guy is legit.
I'm very
Lefty.
interested. It's really sad. Not that I'm some Pac-12 lifer. I don't pretend to be. I'm not here to pretend to be. But it is sad. This does feel like the deepest Pac-12 division in years.
Yes,
and it's going away.
And it's wide open. College football feels wide open. Who's the dominant team right now that you would say? Florida State just survived.
Georgia.
We'll see.
I know, but
they
I'm just saying.
Struggled. Georgia just recently, just the other week, they were struggling against.
No doubt.
Whoever,
Well, they got
South
a new
Carolina.
quarterback and their stuff. Yeah. But man, they got and they lost 50,000 people. I mean, look, Nick Saban's out here crying. You know what I mean? Nick Saban's crying, and I'm
Sabs.
well, when you can't give everyone the fistful of dollars in a brown bag, and you have to do NIL money, and the transfer portal is the real thing, it kind of levels the playing field. And even Nick Saban's complaining.
Speaking of complaining, speaking of crying, we shift now from the biggest story in sports Saturday to the biggest story in sports yesterday. Sean Payton taking a 70 burger in Miami.
Chef's kiss.
Broncos lose 20-70. Sean Payton, your thoughts?
That was embarrassing and tough to watch. Aside from the kick return, there weren't a lot of positives to take from that game. We had our opportunities offensively early, 2 penalties, take touchdowns off the board, and I don't know that. I think they punted 1 time. So, any questions?
Oh, here's a question for you, Sean.
I know that you said it's embarrassing, but this is kind of an historic game.
I'm aware.
Third time the team has scored 70 points, over 700.
What's the question? What's the question?
How do you feel about it being
I just finished telling you.
Historically embarrassing.
Next question.
How do you feel about it being historically embarrassing? I'll say this. I'll use this drop 1,000 times this year.
Tough to watch.
Yeah, it was very tough to watch yesterday. Joe Shasky, you've been a big critic, I will say, of Sean Payton, his coaching style, him winning the 1 Super Bowl, but not really doing much after that. You've compared him to Doc Rivers in the NBA. Your thoughts watching yesterday's beatdown in Miami?
This is a man who's won 5 playoff games since 2010. Why are we bestowing mythical figure Sean Payton to the highest of the heavens like he's Zeus of coaching? He has not been. If anyone has underperformed in the playoffs, it's this guy. You know what the funny thing is? The irony? He's who we think Mike McCarthy is.
Ooh, wow. It's interesting. Now, Hall of Fame quarterback. Down NFC, didn't really do much. I will say,
Joey, 5 playoff wins since 2009.
Sean was closer to getting and probably should have been going to another Super Bowl. I'll say that. But if some butts, candy, and nuts would all have a Merry Christmas. Shout out Low Neal doing a hell of a job with Larry Krueger on Sundays and Thursdays. But to your point, that's not a terrible comp. I haven't thought about it like that, but it's not terrible. Speaking of which, Cowboys, yikes. It was a bad loss yesterday.
Thank you, Cowboys. I mean, just thank you for everything. Thanks for waking up.
You needed the Cardinals to win that one.
Waking
so
up the
better.
Niners.
Okay.
Losing. Everybody worried about like it is college football. You got to win by more than 40. If the Cowboys beat the Giants by 40, why can't you win by 50? That's not how it works.
That Diggs injury was massive.
Yes.
It's very unfortunate.
Transitive property does not work in the NFL. We beat this team. They beat that team.
Matchups are different.
It's totally different. But
the Steelers, the defense doesn't look like the same defense we saw in week 1. The Steelers' defense last 2 weeks was pretty good. I'll say this.
Yeah, the get-right game against the Raiders.
Raiders' offense stinks. Josh McDaniels stinks. Jimmy Garoppolo stinks. Devontae Adams almost 200 yards single-handedly keeping them in that game. Oh, my God. Just there's a lot of stinkage this past weekend. Sean Payton being one of them. Whatever's going on in Chicago. That's that whole mess.
I've looked all over the internet. What exactly is going on with this DC? Yeah, or former DC?
Yeah, I saw the rumors of like the FBI. It was like it's not FBI, but now there's like not like conduct detrimental to the team. I
got lured into this TikTok. It's pretty funny. And it's like he had exclusive video on his hard drive, and the feds, tapped into the hard drive, and they were looking at this video, and the video is going to put him away for a long time. At the end of the video, they're like, "Here's the video. Don't look away." And I'm thinking, "What is it? What is it?" And it's Justin Fields dropbacks,
running for his life. Doing pirouettes.
I mean, the NFL is it's the king. I mean, you think that Brandon Staley's going to hop on a flight out of town, and the next thing you know, they get an interception in the end zone, and he saves his job for one more week. Jimmy Garoppolo's looking really good early in that game, and then looks horrific. I mean, horrifically.
And then has, a pretty good drive, aided by some questionable calls, gets the 2-point conversion. You're down 8 from God knows how. You have a chance to actually get into this game and maybe win it. You kick a field goal.
McDaniels.
Trusting an awful defense that doesn't have anybody outside of Max Crosby and then Nate Hobbs yesterday. They don't have anyone, and you're trusting that defense. By the way, 23 points for that Steelers offense might have well been 46 with how bad they have looked the first 2 weeks. 23 points. No one came out of that game. I didn't come out of that game impressed by either teams. Not even the Steelers. Okay, great. I came out of that game saying Josh McDaniels. Ridiculous. TJ Watt's really good.
He's ridiculous.
He's really good.
Yes.
Highsmith, really good.
Yes.
Josh McDaniels, not a head coach. Well, we knew that prior to this season. But he's not a head coach.
If I gave Mike McDaniels these same weapons, it looks more explosive, right?
I tweeted it yesterday.
If I gave McVay these weapons,
it looked boring. The offense, and I understand Jimmy Garoppolo, but I've seen Jimmy Garoppolo, at least in a exciting offense. I've seen exciting plays with Christian McCaffrey, with Brandon Ayuk, with Deebo Samuel, and I understand there was a limit to that.
For sure.
Of trust.
For sure.
But you mean to tell me you can't get creative with Josh Jacobs, the leading rusher in the NFL last season, with Devontae? Jacoby Myers making plays left and right. Myers. He's a great number 2.
What happened to Hunter Renfrow?
Who was making plays when you look for him?
That's what I'm asking you.
Well, if you watch the film, Shasky, I know you watched the film, the All-22, he's wide open. Jimmy, as you've seen yesterday, only cares about 2 receivers, Devontae, and he's going to get him killed half the time throwing medicine balls.
Can Michael Mayer get a pass?
He gets open. We're up against it. It's just NFL's undefeated. You'll get into Taylor Swift. You'll get into Brandon Staley, Dion, Sean Payton, all that. Brock Purdy being 3-0. All that coming up next on the not on the pregame show, on the morning roast. This was the pregame show, 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
Dick Butkus here. I've got a game changer for you. When it comes to creating a winning website, there's only one team I trust. American.